What does he do with his thumb?
Maybe he's flying. But I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know. I always feel I project in him, and I say, poor little old man. What's he do with his time? But that's me. Poor little old man. What do I do with my time? But that's a different set. You see, he has a different system completely.
Someplace in the book you mentioned that you smoked mushrooms down in the state of Chihuahua. I just wondered what was the name of those mushrooms in the book?
No, the mushroom belongs to the psilocybe family, I'm sure of that. And they grow in central Mexico. Then you make a journey to central Mexico. You collect them, and then you take them to wherever you live. And wait for a year before they are usable. And they spend a year inside of a gourd. And after that, they're utilized.
Were these the ones, were they from Oaxaca?
They're central Mexico, that area, yeah, Oaxaca. There are 14 species of psilocybe.
Can you tell us about the need and nature for secrecy and mystifications, such as Don Juan's?
Well, I don't know. He feels like in order to return from one of the trips, quote, you had to have a great degree of help and knowledge, without which you don't return. Maybe he's right. Maybe he's right. Maybe you need not so much the encouragement or a friendly man telling you everything is the right, Joe, don't fear. But more than that, maybe you need another type of knowledge that will render the experience utilizable, meaningful, and not crack your mind, you see, not really bust you.
Would you discourage someone from using these drugs in the
I do. I don't think they should, because perhaps we will get to know more about it. Otherwise, we become a spearhead, and the spearhead burns, period.
Do you know what the psychoactive substances are in Datura?
The atropine and I don't know, the hyoscyamine, and there are all the two more. There's something that somebody called metalloidine, but nobody knew what metalloidine was. They're very toxic, terribly toxic. They are very harmful plants.
Was there a...
No, the strychnine, the peyote contains strychnine, 8 types of
Was there other agents that Don Juan considered to be his equal as medicine?
Yes. I know 2.
Did you, were they his equal from impartial view through your eyes?
The one, like he says, that his predilection is talking. He likes to talk. There are other men who have another type of predilection. There's a man who gives lessons in waterfall. His predilection, he says, is balance and movement. And the other one that I know dances. And he accomplishes the same thing.
What about mushrooms in the old world?
No, there are no hallucinogenic mushrooms.
Yeah,
That's not an old world, though.
Sure. Greek
There is both.
That's yeah, you can take that degree, yeah, that's right.
Well, Datura is growing all over Berkeley. It's a
plant that grows anywhere, and anywhere in the United States. But the intake of Datura produces a very terrible inflammation of the prostate gland. So it's not desirable to use it. So it's a very toxic affair.
Did that happen to you?
No, after it's prepared, I think loose toxin. The American Indians, I think, learned a great deal in manipulating plants. And how they learn, perhaps like Don Juan says, you could arrive to a direct knowledge of complex procedures directly via tapping this whatever you tap.
Can you talk a little more about that first experience about finding the good and bad spots and what your interpretation of its meaning? Do you see any meaning in terms of good and bad or good and evil, or just, or?
No, I don't know. I never interpreted in any way except, again, as I stated, a special, ordinary reality. He, again, I think, manipulated me And, or perhaps it's possible to see color. I have a friend who reported the other day to me that he saw magenta. He says that was the only thing that he saw. He tried to do this at night, and he was capable of arriving to this distortion of color, whatever.
One thing I noticed while reading the book is that all these experiences take place at night. Is there any reason that this is?
No, I think night's very friendly. The night is very friendly. It's very amenable. It's warmer, for one reason. And the darkness is covering. It's very, it's like a blanket. Very, very nice. On the other hand, the daytime is very active. It's too busy. And it's not conducive to the feeling needed for anything like that. I like the night. I don't know why. Maybe I'm an owl or something. I like it very much. It's very amenable to me. I turn the lights in my house off all the time. I feel very fine for some reason. I feel very comfortable when it's dark. And I feel very restless when there's much light.
Can you tell us more about Mescalito?
Like what? What? How?
Well, I don't know. Well, I was just
That is-
curious. First of all, American Indians have a god, but it's not called Mescalito, it's called something else.
They have different names, yeah.
Where did this lady...
Mescalito is circumlocution that he uses, like to say little Joe, little Billy. Circumlocutions to mean William.
Well, is he one god, or is he like 1,000 million forms?
That's power. It's a teacher. It's not God. It's a teacher. It's a teacher that is outside of yourself. That you never mention it by name, because the name that he gives it to you is personal, and therefore you use the circumlocution, Mescalito, not the word Teodoro, because Teodoro means something else. It's not applicable to that. It's a word that has been borrowed by the Spaniards. Teodoro is a state, very much like Datura in Mexican, in the Spanish, used in Mexico. Datura is called Toloache. In Toloache, the people say Toloache, but that's not accurate. Toloache is a state of knowledge. Later to the Datura, but it's not the plant, it's a state of knowledge. And so it's another word, Ololoqui, that the Sagún, that Spanish priest was very concerned with. And people have identified Ololoqui as the seat of the morning glory. But that's not, it belongs to the Datura also. But it's a state of knowledge.
Does Don Juan or any of the other brujos have any difficulties with the church because of this?
Well, I suppose they do. They couldn't care less one way or the other. They are capable of short-circuiting the works of the dominant society, which is very, very, very appealing to me, at least. To be able to short-circuit them and render them meaningless and useless and harmless. See, the one is not trying to fight anybody, therefore nobody fights with him. He's very capable. He's a hunter. He's a hunter. He's a capable man. He does everything himself.
He hunts animals.
Well, in many ways, metaphorically, in a literary way, he hunts in his own way. And he's a warrior, meaning he's alert, on his toes consistently. He never lets anything go by him. There's a great argument that I have with his grandson. His grandson says, my grandfather is feeble-minded. I said, but perhaps you're wrong. Do you think that you could sneak up on him? And the young guy, Fernando, says, no, you cannot sneak up on my grandfather. He's a brujo. I said, that's absurd. How could you say that he's feeble-minded, and then you say that you cannot sneak up on him? But that's the idea. You see, he maintains everybody under this sort of control. He never lets me out of his sight. I'm always within his view. And it's an automatic process, unconscious. He's not aware of it, but I'm always there. At all times, he's very alert. One is not an Ishi. He's not an isolated man. He is a hunter, a warrior. His life is a game of strategy. He is capable of rounding up his armies and use them in the most efficient way, the most efficacious way. He's not a guy who cuts corners, but his great motto is efficacy. And that's totally opposed to my motto. My motto is waste. Like all of us, unfortunately. You see, and then I get caught in tremendous upheavals of meaning and things that split me. And I begin to whine. You know, why, how did it happen to me? But, you know, you have, like, if I would be able to live like the one, I could set my life in a way of strategy, set my armies strategically. Like he says, then if you lose, all you lose is a battle. That's all. And you're very happy at that. But not with me, because if I lose because they took me, you know, they raped me, you know, I've been taken in my fury, you know, no end to my fury, because I was not prepared for it. But what would happen if I was prepared? Then I was just defeated, and defeat is not so bad. But to be raped, that's terrible, that's horrendous, and that's what we all do. But what? We are raped by cigarettes. We can't stop smoking, you know. Or people are raped by food. They can't stop eating. I have my own quirks, you know, and I get raped by certain things. I cannot mention that. But I do, then I feel weak and feeble, you know, and helpless. So one seems to feel that that's an indulgence, that he cannot afford to. And he is not indulgent at all. He does not indulge, and yet his life is very harmonious, terribly funny, and great. And I ponder, how in the devil can he do it? And I think it's by cutting his indulgence to nothing. And yet he lives very well. He doesn't deny himself anything. There's the trick. That's the funny trick. It's just almost a semantic manipulation. Like he's 76 years old, he likes girls. He says that the reason why he likes girls is because when he was young, he took one datura with the lizards, and the lizards bit him nearly to death, and he was sick for 3 months. He was in coma for weeks. And then his teacher told him not to worry about it, because from then on he was going to be virile until the day he died. He says the lizards do that. You know, if they bite you too hard, you become very virile. So I asked him, how could I get a couple of bites? He said, you need more than a couple of bites. So, but he's not frugal in the sense of denial, but yet he doesn't indulge. Maybe it doesn't make sense.